I'd like to welcome all of our citizens this evening. Welcome Karen and Martha and Brian and Merilyn and Jill and Kim and Alicia. So thank you all for joining us today. We're going to review the agenda and see if we want to add anything or change the agenda in any way. First will be the approval of the minutes. Then we'll have the librarian's report, the treasurer's report. We'll discuss a request from Brian Mayette. Then we'll discuss a letter that we received from the Select Board. Then we'll give some CCI updates. Merilyn is here to give a report on the show and tell for the fundraising committee. And we have an update from the last board meeting of CCI. And I can give a building committee update. And then we can open for citizens' comments. So, fellow trustees, Lucy, any changes or additions to the agenda? No? Good. Lucy, no? Okay. Now let's move to the approval of the March 28th minutes. Any additions or corrections? I have none myself. I don't either.
That's the one with the addendum, with the articles. Yep.
I found that a little curious. Why the warrant article was attached as an addendum.
It was brought up at the meeting.
Okay.
It was probably after you left, but it was brought up.
Oh, that was the one I left.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the long one about.
That feels like a very.
And that's when I said they've up conversation and our citizens' comments, library, so on.
Okay.
That came from the actual warrant article.
Thank you for explaining that.
Okay. I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Second.
I'm going to try really hard not to put you in the head.
Librarian's report. Lucy.
Yeah, me. So we have had 416 patrons since I've started, and we've had over 2,000 patrons since the year has started. We've checked out 600 books this year and 621 general things, which would include audiobooks and the Library of Things. And we've had a lot of success with our programming of toddler story time. We're getting about 4 people per program once a week. And we're about to start summer reading, and hopefully we'll have a lot of people for that, because last year we had about 52 children sign up for summer reading. And I'm really hoping to at least match it this year. And let me think, anything else?
You met with the school librarian.
Yes, I met with the school librarian, and I also talked to the 3rd graders, and I handed out flyers to the school for the summer reading program.
Oh, great.
Yes. And I was going to also talk to the 4th graders, but there was a field trip they were going on that day. And yes.
And it seemed like I remember seeing a advertisement for a program that's more aimed at teens or tweens.
Yes.
And can you?
The Blackout Poetry program, nobody came for it, but there was a lot of confusion about it. So I can explain what that was, because it was something that
So what was the idea behind that? Yeah.
Yeah, I would have pages that I would print out that would have, well-known short stories or well-known poems, and the idea is someone would take a marker and they'd black out the words, and the words they left would make their own art and own story out of the story. And it's a nice, easy program, and younger people tend to really like it because it's making art and also being able to draw on things.
Okay. Well, even though you didn't get any, I really appreciate you trying to target that age group, because that's one we don't always attract, so keep trying. Coming up with some
That might
ideas.
be something you could go into the school and do with like the 7th and 8th graders
Yes.
to kind of give them an idea what it is, because I had never heard of it either. It's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm really trying to talk to them middle schoolers when school starts up again next year. That's one age range that I'm really going to focus on. We also have made a lot of strides with recategorizing the Y books into E books for easy, J books for juvenile, and YA books for young adults, and separating those out a little bit. And it is an undertaking, but we're almost done with it. Yay. And we've moved the YA section into the adult back room area.
Okay.
Also, yeah. And
Any issues or policy ideas you'd like to talk to us about?
the only policy issue that I could think of would be about the leading, because it's about time to start leading again. So, but I haven't started on that yet, so I'll wait to bring that up for our next meeting. But no, I haven't had any issues or anything else. It's been great.
Okay. Well, don't hesitate to call on any of us if you need any help. And I don't know if you're still in touch with Stephanie or...
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sure that's helpful. And the rest of your staff, that's going well?
Yes. Everyone's very helpful. Everyone's very flexible. And
Well, you got 2 of them here, right?
yeah, I can't say anything too bad. Yeah. Oh gosh, I just remembered something that I'd like to talk about.
You mentioned something in your email.
Yes. I was talking, and it turns out we do have a card for the library, because I'd like to start using it for purchasing things for the summer reading program.
Speaking about a credit card.
Yes.
Okay. Is it credit or debit?
Debit.
Debit card.
I wouldn't dare give a debit card to the checking account,
No.
but it's a credit card. It's got Stephanie's name on it, but I think if you're ordering online, it's just the number.
Mhm.
And you can use my name. The name never worked for Stephanie.
Oh.
I don't think it was spelled, I don't know what the problem was, but it never worked. So you can just use my name, because the card is in my name.
Okay. Yeah.
We just need to make sure I have receipts for everything, because that was an issue. Didn't get them.
Print out or make screenshots.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Print out, because I get audited, our books get audited every year. So I do it down to the penny and proof of every penny that's spent, so try to.
So did that answer the question
Yes.
that you had in your email?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else for us?
Not that I can think of right now, but also, when I'm doing my report in the future, is there certain statistics that you'd like to see?
No, that's great. I think you gave us pertinent statistics. We like to know about, the programs, people coming in the door, book circulations, and people attending programs. Thank you. Any other statistics you all would want to have a report on?
No.
That's great, thank you. All right, treasurer's report.
It's buried, sorry. And I'll give you a copy of this.
Thank you.
Building fund balance as of 5/31/24 is $14,728.89. Checkbook balance as of June 11th, 24 is $13,930.35. Donation fund as of 05/31/2024 is $1,556.76. Non-lapsing fund as of May 31st, 2024 is $2,600 $729.94. That included the Tasker grant money, because all the grant money goes into non-lapsing. And everything has been spent. We had the Michael Bruno program this year, so that spent the rest of the Tasker grant except for 3 cents. So there's 3 cents left in the Tasker grant.
Jill, you want it back?
Palmer Fund as of 5/31/2024 is $1,007.01. And Tasker grant is 3 cents. Donations, and I don't think we had that listed under old business, did we? Or new
No.
business?
No.
Donations, we had $75 from the Hanover Garden Club. That's been deposited, but we have to agree that we got it.
Awesome. Okay, any questions about the treasurer's report?
Oh, and our auditor's report for 2023, we passed with flying colors.
Congratulations, Kathy. Thank you for being such a good steward of our funds. And speaking of funds, we have a request from Brian, who's here with us. And I will let Kathy present that.
Okay, I did not print the email, but I have received a request from Mr. Mayotte, Brian Mayotte, for an accounting of the building fund. And let me get the right one. This is the building fund, and this is an accounting of the 3 years, what was spent, what was earned for interest. And that fund includes not just the Mayotte donation of $30,000 given on January 20th is when, April 3rd was when it was deposited. But there was $7 in the fund drive box that went into that account. There was $150 from the Liggett donation that went into that account. And there was a $10,000 from the Callahans that went into that account. What was spent from that account, I have added up on another sheet of paper, which of course I didn't bring, but there is $14,727.02 left in that account. What Mr. Mayotte wanted is he didn't feel that the money was spent responsibly, that it was wasted, and because it was spent for fees for the move to the new library, exploratory bills. We did spend $2,500 on a septic design for this property. The issue was that when the money was given, we did not have the choice of another building that would have solved all of the problems. So the trustees voted to actually take the money and spend it toward there to do what the exploratory committee felt needed to be done. So the operating fund monies deposited and paid out, there's a listing. This I also sent to Mr. Mayotte. This was the deposits. The total deposited was $4,157. The trustees met on 8/09/21, passed a motion to authorize the use of library building funds for legal counsel, 11A, and 11B, motion was passed to authorize up to $10,000 to hire an engineer for a structural assessment, which we did on that building. 10/14/2021, the trustees on number 6, Part B, a motion was passed to authorize $15,000, but no more than $20,000 for Phase 1 architectural plans. And I think one of the main reasons, or there were several reasons for that move, was that we had done a plan in 2019, architectural plan for a possibility of this building. Now this was before we had the land. It would have included a small meeting room, a bathroom with a composting toilet, and it would have either come in one window or come in 2 windows in this building. And we didn't realize, as the 3 trustees at that time, once you come in this building, then all of what is in here is no longer handicap accessible. So we would have actually been losing space and shelving space to improve. So this, I think, is probably why the vote was made. So we withdrew $2,500 for Dombrowski from the operating budget, the library's own operating budget, for the Drummond Woodson legal fees. And Heidi was the one that did most of the connection with Drummond Woodson for the legal fees as part of the exploratory committee. So $639.60, $4,406.20, and $4,921 for a total of $9,967. The architect fees, I won't bother reading them all, but some were from the operating budget, some were from the building fund. The engineering ventures, engineering came from the operating budget. That was $968. And the total spent from the operating budget was $2,358.35. From the building fund was $25,461. The balance left was the $14,727.02. And that doesn't all add up correctly because I didn't include interest when I did these calculations. So I believe, incapacitated with a fractured tibia at the time. Could not use my legs, this whole leg. So I was not at the town meeting where the donation was made. So I really don't know what was said at that meeting. I know that Mary gave me the check. The check was made out to the town of Cornish. I have a copy of it. From the Mayette Fund, okay? It is made out to the town of Cornish, and it was signed by Margaret Mayette, and it says to update the library in memory of Joseph Mayette and Evelyn Lear. So I don't know what to do from here. I think to resolve it, I don't know how you're going to separate the Callahan money and the Liggett money and the fund drive money
So,
for the balance.
so the only direction we have is a note that says for the update of the library. So the only question would be in returning the money is, did the funds go as intended? And as stated in this note, the update of the library.
At the time, this was the only option.
When we were talking about the new building, one of the things that we talked about was, the planning stages and what were the proper planning stages. And it was at that time that, with Heidi let us know that it would be, that all these funds were appropriate for us to use in planning for the new library.
Jump in, this is my name's been mentioned a couple times. What I remember saying at the exploratory committee was, because this legal work had not been done as part of the offer and plans were not part of the offer, that in order to get a cost estimate, that work needed to be done and to find out if it was feasible, and that was the charge of the committee. And I said, we don't have an appropriation for it, and we could wait until town meeting of, it would have been 2022, and appropriated money for the committee to do that study. And it was the trustees' decision to use your building fund.
It was,
So
on your advice.
I'm just being clear.
So my
because-
recollection, yeah, it was
I'm sorry,
definitely our
Lars,
decision.
I wasn't quite done. I'm just being clear that the proposal, as it was before the committee at the time, needed more information. And I remember very clearly making the point that information is not going to be free. We kind of exhausted all of our free resources, including Charitable Trust, which would be a great resource for this question, I believe, for both the donor and the trustees. But there were options, and the building fund was an option that came from the trustees.
Yes.
So,
I'm just trying to figure out how do we portion out the balance. And my thought is that we figure out the percentage of the for donations
So,
for the balance, and then with that, return.
so I just don't feel it's appropriate to return the money because I think the bequest was vague enough to include planning for the library. And that was the advice I remember when we were talking about the need for planning, and the advice that I appreciated from Heidi at that time was that it was appropriate for us to use donated money to the library, whatever building fund monies that we had, for the expenses that she donated. So I feel like the use of the Mayette funds was appropriate because it was not said for the Stowell building, it was said for the library. And the library is the library whether it's in this building or that building. So I think what we might need to do is refer this to council if there's a request for the return of the money. Because
So you
I
can
don't.
spend more of the money on more lawyers to see about getting the money back.
Or you can
The big
withdraw.
objection is how much money was wasted on lawyers and architects
Excuse me, but
already.
I haven't called on you. I'll get back to you in just a minute. I'm thinking of my experience at Dartmouth when the Dana Library, for which I was a director, was being repurposed for faculty offices. And at that point I said, I'd like to see the original document for donation to see if that's appropriate, because if not, I would like to keep this building as a library and not have it become faculty offices. And so that, unless it was specifically stated in the request at that time, then that wasn't a feasible thing. The other thing that I'm thinking about is at the University of Tennessee, when someone specifically donated their house to be a president's house, that was a request that wasn't honored, and it also wasn't legit. It wasn't a request that had to be honored. So that's why I think it's a tricky issue whether or not this money gets returned, and I would like to consult the lawyers on that. So
I think that as a major
so just a
component
minute,
of
just a
the-
minute, let me get some more trustee comment, and then I'll be glad to hear your comments. So, Marie?
The lawyer's advice, because I really don't know. I don't know. I think the intent was clear at the time because we did not have that option. When and she signed the check, and when she did that, she wrote Town of Cornish on it, and she did not put anything in the byline as to what it was to be. And as it came down to me to deposit that check, that's what it was for. It's for this library. So again, we voted to use the money for down there because that would have been the library. We as trustees who manage this building and what happens to it realize that it would not have been, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, the right thing to do was to put money into this building.
I agree with Kathi. I think returning the money is the right thing to do. And I believe you're sort of mistaken in the fact that when Peg Mayette offered that $30,000, it was during a discussion that was about the Stowell Library at a town meeting in 2020. And that election didn't happen until 2021 about the Stowell Library.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that decision speaks for itself. She wanted that money to go to this building because at that point, the store thing was still just sort of floating around out there.
And
Her intent was this
hadn't even
building.
been broached
Yes,
at that point.
Exactly. So to me, it's very clear that her intention was for those funds to go to this building.
Okay.
But how do we divide the balance?
That I don't know.
So now I'd like to recognize Mr. Mayette for his comments, please.
Well, I'm concerned that you're talking about, just in your comments about hiring more lawyers to see about trying to get out of paying the money back based on our dissatisfaction with how we've already wasted so much money on lawyers. And I think that you in particular have a pretty strong conflict of interest in this whole matter anyway, because it's pretty clear that you're a major proponent of the store conversion, and here now you're being asked to rule on whether you did the right thing as a trustee, and so there's a conflict of interest there too.
Thank you for those comments, but I think the issue here is whether or not the money is returned and how that would be. So, and I think your mother's intent in giving the donation is very pertinent here. So would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, she was extremely clear about her donation was to put a ramp in particular into this building. She was very much opposed to the store conversion. She had a homemade sign on her lawn that she made herself. It was on her lawn opposing the whole store conversion thing. She was absolutely opposed to anything to do with the store.
So I'm confused because they're saying the donation was made before we're talking about the store. And you're saying that she made the donation being opposed to the store, but the
She
store
made the donation,
wasn't.
what? I can't quite hear
It
you.
was
Are we
before,
talking about the store?
it was before we were talking at the store. Again, I was not at that meeting because I was on crutches and didn't get there.
So both things can't be true.
I'm
I
not
think what
sure.
Brian is saying is once the store thing happened,
Right.
the PEG
Then she became
was
very opposed to it.
and
Once
set up a
the
sign.
store came happened, she was opposed to it.
But it
I
was the
understand.
year
That was
before
after
the vote
donation.
that she donated the, yes.
Okay,
after the
and I
donation.
want to recognize Merilyn and then Heidi.
Yeah, I just have a question because I don't have the whole history. So are you saying that your mother stood up at town meeting and talked about this?
No, she did not stand up.
Oh.
I don't think she even went to town meeting that year.
She offered the money that year,
Yes.
in 2020.
Did she do it at the town meeting or
No.
it was separate from the town meeting?
No, but it was brought up during town meeting when they were discussing the Stowell Library.
Who brought it up? I mean, why was it?
Caroline Stores. Caroline Stores moved. Richard Scher talked about it. $30,000 gift for library renovations, 2020.
2020.
It was voted in the affirmative. This is from the annual report,
Okay, wait a minute, why
254.
did we have to vote to accept the 30,000?
Every time there's a gift to a town, you have to.
We didn't vote. It was part of the warrant article to fund the library. The operating budget of the library came up. And as Peter Berling likes to say, it opens a conversation. So we were voting, the vote was actually just to approve the operating budget. At that point in time, the selectmen who had been informed of the gift announced the gift because we have prior authorization to allow the select board to receive gifts and prior authorization to allow
We did the
the
public
library
hearing
to
after
receive
he
gifts.
asked,
Because
we
it was
did
a
the
gift to the
public
library,
Right.
it was received by the library.
Yeah, wasn't
It was just announced, so there was no vote on the gift itself. It was just announced at the point when we were discussing the library and voting on the library.
Any donation received by the library in excess of $5,000.
Has to be a
Has
public
to be-
hearing,
has to
and
be
we
a-
advertised it in the Valley News, and we had a public hearing to accept it, which is in our notes.
But again, there weren't. Okay, so
But it was in 2020.
Yes.
it was.
Yes.
Okay, Heidi.
So you made reference again to, and it actually is to advice from the New Hampshire Municipal Association. And the question was not specifically about any particular donated funds. It was, are libraries allowed to spend their funds, whether received through donations or appropriations, on planning for a library? And the answer was yes, you can plan for a library. However, this was not part of the answer because it was not part of the question. If there's a restriction on the gift, you know, if the gift instrument itself restricts that gift, then that dictates how the gift may be used.
Absolutely.
And I would highly recommend and I know you have a relationship with Charitable Trust because you've mentioned at several meetings you've been in contact with them. They're a division of the Department of Justice. They handle nonprofits, they handle donations. Their say is final. If you hire a lawyer, they will probably call Charitable Trust. So I don't think it would hurt for any of the parties here to reach out to Charitable Trust.
Thank you, I think that's a reasonable
Could I ask?
suggestion.
Sorry, one other question. And you would know this, but I know this as a former ED. The check, did it come with a letter or was it simply a check?
This is all I have that came to me. This is the check.
So you have a
This is the
photocopy of the
There's
check?
nothing in the memo line.
Right, but there was no formal
No letter.
letter.
No, it
that
just
came with the
says
check.
here to update the library in memory, and this was definitely her handwriting, Joseph
Yeah,
C.
yeah,
Mayette
no.
and Evelyn G. Lair. That's
Yeah,
all
I was just
have.
curious if there was a letter that accompanied the check, and I guess the
If there
answer
was,
is no.
it did not come to me or
Right.
the trustees.
Right,
I don't know.
Charitable Trust will do, like, when we were researching the Stowell, there was no letter existing, or minutes of George Stowell coming in and talking to the select board. There was a warrant article, and Charitable Trust determined that warrant article was the gift instrument. So I can almost guarantee you, they will say, what is the written record? And what you have there is, you just said is Mrs. Mayette's handwriting. That is the written record. The written record is the minutes from town meeting. And that is where they'll start, and that's probably what they will use. But they really have the final say, so you might as well start there, and they, you know, it's the state, they
Yeah.
work for us.
Good suggestion, thank you, and,
I mean,
let's put that in motion.
Okay.
Let's put it in motion, that in order to further pursue Mr. Mayette's, request, the trustees will contact the charitable trust and, showing them the handwritten note, the check, and the minutes from the meeting where, it was, I don't know, was it given or talked about or whatever.
I think it was just
I would like to add something to that motion, that we are all involved in the letter that's going to the charitable trust. That we all see it, that we all have input, and that we all have our
I
own
would say we
corrections or
use our
whatever.
lawyer that has donated his time and money to, he's the one that's been in contact with them.
But before the letter goes out, I think all three of us should be able to see this letter.
Sure, fine.
Because in the past, there have been letters sent out that none of us have seen. And they've come up at other meetings. So I think that, I would like to add that to your motion as far as
But
contact.
I didn't say trustees, so,
Yeah,
that's fine. Agreed.
Because we, again, in addition, we need to decide, is the balance all of that to go back? Or is it to be prorated by what the other donations were?
Okay, so we'll get some advice on that and be able to do it. So, all in favor of the motion as amended? Aye. Okay, motion passes.
Someone want to read the motion back to me?
It'll be in the minutes.
Okay.
All right, so moving on. We have a letter from the select board.
Is that acceptable?
is that okay with you, Brian?
I don't have much choice.
Just kind of a first step.
See what we can find out. Needs to be done. All right, so,
7.
I'll just read this to the trustees. Dear trustees, the town of Cornish has some unspent local fiscal recovery fund, COVID money. We'd like to offer the funds to install a well and septic system at the library. The board feels this would be appropriate follow-up to the vote taken on Article 16 of the 2022 town meeting. The town did purchase .09 acres plus or minus from the Newtons to support the installation of the well and septic tank for the Stowell Library. Though the vote authorized town money for the purchase, it was paid for with donated funds. While the future of the building is unclear because of the possible relocation of the former general store, It will be a town building. If the proposed relocation does not happen, the building would be under the care and jurisdiction of the trustees. In this case, it would be an expense the trustees would have to cover. If the relocation does occur, the building will be under care and jurisdiction of the town, thus the Board of Selectmen. In either case, the improvements of potential running water and septic system connection will be necessary and would need to be paid for with taxpayer money. We feel it should not become a burden to the taxpayers, so we would like to coordinate with the trustees on this project. So with that, I'll open it up for discussion from the trustees. Thoughts on this?
Well, it's great, but septic system, is that the current design with the building that was the 2019 renovation? Because it's the number of people using the building, as I was told, that decides the size of the septic. And there's not an awful lot of room for anything much bigger. So,
I think this is something
I
that
think
we
it's
have
great,
to,
but
I think the two boards should meet and have a conversation rather than conducting it through email.
oh, I
It
agree.
would be more advantageous.
So I think it's wonderful that the trustees want to put this money towards either this as the library or as its future, the future of whatever this building is. I don't see any scenario where this building won't be used by the town or some organization of the town. So seems like a positive thing to me. Heidi, would you
I
like to
actually
comment?
came to speak to the funds. Do you have any questions about those funds? I'll just give you a brief background. As part of the American Rescue Plan, the town received $169,000 and a little bit more. I'll tell you in a second. $169,283.18. When we first received the funds, the federal government, Youth Treasury, had some really restrictive rules. Every town in New Hampshire, across the country, received funds. But the rules were kind of one size fits all. So the uses were very limited. You could spend it on a public sewer system. You could spend it on a public water system, on hospitals, on airports, all of the things that towns of 1600 do not have and really don't need. So the government actually does listen. Those comment periods that you hear about occasionally, they do listen to comment. And a lot of towns said, there is nothing that we can spend this money on. So the rule changed a good way into it. And they allowed for something called revenue replacement, which meant anything that a town is allowed to spend money on regularly, they may use these funds for. So of those funds so far, this one, well, these have been spent. Turnout gear for the fire department was $6,569.79. The next project is the repeater location and replacement. So the cell tower on Burr Road, I don't know if any of you went to the hearings, but the tower company came and said, we're giving you free space on the tower. They didn't say the equipment that goes on that free space is going to cost about $80,000. We are using those funds, and it will really improve coverage in areas that are dead zones for first responders, which is really important. So that leaves, depending on where that money's been obligated but not spent, they're still working out the details, that will leave between $80,000 and $90,000 for this project. So I think that is plenty. If you need to revise the septic design, if you need to get an architect to look at the downstairs bathroom and let you know about ADA compliance, because there are rules about the ADA. As long as you make it better, you don't have to do everything at once. As long as what you're doing has improved it and 20% of the expense is going to accessibility, then you're allowed to do it, because they understand old buildings need to be improved in stages. So I think with $80,000 or $90,000, that's enough to do the work and do some planning to address any concerns that you may have. But I think it's a great idea to meet with the selectmen and work collaboratively on it.
You could put it in and not have it hitched up to anything. You could just have it there.
I'm not gonna get into septic DES rules right now, but I'm just saying that it's a significant amount of money.
Thank you for coming with that information,
Sure.
honey, that's
Can I-
helpful. Marilyn?
Where did the funds come from originally?
The American Rescue Plan,
Oh,
and then they went to the
funds.
state,
okay.
and then the state distributed it and
Right,
there's
they
the
disperse it.
acronym changes
Yeah.
every time the money moves. So it was ARPA,
Right.
and when it got to the state and they distributed it, it became the local fiscal recovery funds.
Right. But
Kim?
it's okay.
I have a quick question. Didn't all the well systems that they were putting in at the school fail? Wouldn't this money be better applied at the school?
Well,
Than
but
here?
it came to the town. The town and school are two separate governing bodies. And the school the school got a $200,000 grant.
But there's no water.
They are filtering the water, so they will have water. And you feel free to go to the select board meeting and ask them to give the money to the school.
Sure, I will. Thank you.
Okay, with this information, I'd like to move that all three of the trustees plan a joint meeting with the select board to discuss this further. All in favor, say
Aye. Second.
thank you very much. Okay, next is CCI updates. I'd like to call on Marilyn.
Let me do this first of all. As I said in my email, I'm not the CCI board member. I'm on a subcommittee for fundraising. So I don't know, I think there were a couple of questions. I think the best deal, let me give you the
I just
brochure.
was expecting you to share the brochures and
Oh.
that's all. I'm not asking you
Oh,
to
no,
do more
people
report
can
than
ask
that.
questions, you know. I was told that there was a question about, I don't have a ton of these because,
You didn't expect this many people.
well, right, usually there's like 5 people here,
Right.
so I brought 6, but if anyone wants more, call me, because I have some at home. Colleen also has them. We only just got them. We got them like a week and a half ago, that finally we wanted it to look good, we wanted it to be presentable, so it went through a lot of iterations.
Jill, do you want mine?
I'd like to just look at it. I'll give it to someone else.
I'm getting one,
Thanks.
I'm getting
Okay, right. Annual report, that's in my head. Someone asked about an annual report. There are specific regulations about the requirement for annual reports from nonprofits, and there is a break point. So if your revenues are less than $25,000 in a year, you're not required to file with the IRS, and you're not required to file an annual report. So the previous year, we didn't have the funds that we have now. So we are now creating an annual report, but it's not due until November. I was just talking to Dan Poor about this the other day. He's the treasurer for CCI, and I'm doing some grant writing, and grantors want annual reports and budget information. So that's how I know, because I asked Dan, do we have an annual report and when will it be ready? He said, well, it won't be ready until November. It's not required until November. So he's going to get me some information, like a couple of paragraphs that I can use in place of an annual report. But as far as funding goes, if anyone has questions about revenues to this point in time, we're roughly around $1,150,000. We are waiting for information on a Northern Borders grant that we've applied for, and we will hear whether or not we are going to receive that grant by the end of June. So I have, holding my breath, I might drop dead by that time. And that request is for $250,000.
What is the fundraising goal?
The fundraising goal is $3 million. And right now we're in the quiet phase, and people want to know, well, why? Because there's a standard way of running a capital campaign. You try to get your deep pocket major donors to fund you first, and you build up a momentum. So we're thinking that when we get close to 2 million, that's when we will go public, where we will send out a mailer, right, saying this is where we are, and for those folks who don't have $100,000 to donate, and we want everyone to be part of this, so that's when it goes public. But it's a slow process, as you can well imagine. But I felt good that we hit the $1 million mark back in May. Yeah.
How much of that is pledges and how much is cash?
About 50-50.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it may be 55, you know, but it's roughly 50-50. And for example, I've pledged, and my pledge is over a 3-year period of time. So I'm in the pledge bucket right now. But come the 1st of July, when I get my mandatory distribution out of my retirement, that's going to be my first check, and then it will change the balance. And there's a lot of that going on, so it can change month to month.
So you don't have $1 million in cash. You have half in cash and half in pledges.
Yeah, I think it's about 600 something in cash. But the pledges are real. I mean, it's a commitment. You sign on the dotted line, and you're at the bottom of the form, you're reminded that this is a legal binding agreement.
Even in death, right?
Yeah, even in death. So if you left an estate, it would come from your estate.
So Merilyn, thank you so much
Sure.
for this. And I just as a word of encouragement, we went to the New Hampshire Library Trustee Association meeting, and a couple of us attended the workshop. Well, I guess maybe that was when I did alone, on fundraising for libraries. And Newport Library, it took them 3 years to reach the 600,000 mark that you already have in cash now.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you
Thank
and your
you.
committee.
Well, just as an aside, this is how it works. I have a friend that I grew up with in Rhode Island. That's where I'm from. He called just to check in. We talk maybe twice a year. And he asked me what I was doing this summer. So I told him. You know, I gave him a little background, and I said, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing some grant writing, and, you know, and I'm talking to people and doing what I can to help build this fund. And he said, so who is, what's your 501c3? And I said, well, it's the Cornish Community Initiative. And he said, can I find it online? I said, absolutely. So while we were talking, he goes online and he starts to read through it. And before he hung up, he said, just so you know, I'm sending CCI a donation. I don't know how big it will be, but this is a friend of mine who has a lot of capacity, so.
Nice.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I know. I mean, so you just never know where it's going to come from or when.
Great. Okay, I have the April 2024 report from the Cornish Community Center here, and I'd be glad to give my copy to anyone who'd like to see it, but I'll hit the main points of it. It begins, the building committee continues to meet with Banwell Architects, our team of engineers, and our construction manager, Trumbull Nelson, on a bi-weekly basis to decide the additional details needed to finalize construction documents. Caroline Storrs will lead the furniture subcommittee, will initiate the process of selecting the furniture vendor. The specifications for all the equipment to be used in the new library are currently being gathered. The land survey has been completed, and it's expected that our civil engineer will submit the driveway application with the New Hampshire Department of Transportation in the coming weeks. The fundraising committee has reached the first $1 million milestone in donation and pledges in our $3 million Unite, Build and Grow capital campaign. A new banner replaced the Cornish General Store sign on April 22nd. There will be a milestone celebration on Saturday, May 4th. Already happened. Our pre-application to the Northern Borders Regional Commission was accepted. The next application deadline is early May. We are working with the Upper Valley Advisor at the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation. Our case statement brochure will be ready soon. I think that's what this is, isn't it, Merilyn? This is the case that they're referring to. Our case statement brochure.
Yes,
That's
right.
the company, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then they give their website, and then they list a lot of the activities that have been happening at the building including the bone builders, the wear and share, the coffee hours for seniors, Friends of the Library, the Cornish Aging in Place grief group, the Store Repair Cafe, Friends of the Library Bake Sale, are some of the events that have been held there. So that's their report. And just to be clear, CCI is an independent nonprofit organization. It's not, this is a report from them as information for the trustees and the community.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to, there are questions about ability to see what's going on, about transparency. There is the Cornish Community Initiative website is a great place for the general public to go on a regular basis to see the reports that are on the website. I just was remembering the other thing I needed to do on behalf of CCI, and I don't know if I don't have the agenda, was to talk to the library about a link, about placing a link on the library's website that would link to CCI, which would make it so if people came to the library to look at what's going on with the library, could there be a link on your library website that would take them to CCI?
So our library website is the town, is part of the town website.
And the library website is for the Stowell Library. Until the library becomes the library at the store,
right?
And sure, I think that's fair. It could be addressed as the library. But I don't think the CCI, I mean, they need to be keeping themselves separate.
The reason for the request is because there have been lots of questions about how it's going. We're not the library yet.
But you yourself said the CCI have their own website, so those questions could be answered on your website.
Right, but how does the public access, how do they know, right? So wouldn't it be great if the town of Cornish could put a link on the town of Cornish website?
There is a link to CCI on the Cornish website.
So point of order. What I'd like to do is propose a motion, and then we can discuss the motion and we can input if we like.
Okay.
So I would like to make a motion that on our website, which is the townwide website, we add a rubric which would be supporting organizations. And that on that we have a link to the Friends of the Library, which support us, as well as the CCI, which is also
the
supporting
CCI
us.
already has a link on the town website.
Redundancy on it. So this is not.
Judith, do the Friends have a link on the, I believe the Friends also have a link on the town website.
No, we're not on the town website at all, and I appreciate your request, and I would love to have it.
So just point of information, my motion hasn't been seconded, so before we can discuss it more, it needs to be seconded. So do I have a second?
What's the rest of the motion?
That was it, that we add on our website something that says
Now, there are two
supporting.
websites. There's the library website and there's the library trustee website. On the town website.
Well, again, redundancy on websites are good, so I propose we put it on both, so.
Motion to add links.
Under the rubric of supporting organizations.
And that would be like right now it has the dark colored and it says minutes and it says exploratory committee for us. I don't, maybe it has book group on it. So, okay.
I think it does a book group.
And I usually trust Heidi to put it where she thinks it's most appropriate. I just would make that request to her. She can figure out where it best fits.
The town has a website policy which includes a link policy. So it's ultimately up to the selectmen. I just do what they say.
But you do it well. Was that a second, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay. All right, now discussion. Maria, I think I interrupted you. Would you like to say more on that?
All I was saying is the CCI already has a link on the town website. It's already established there. I think the Friends should be included with the library. But I don't think we should be including the CCI with the library because they are a separate entity. They are doing something completely different from what we are, in theory, took an oath to do, which was to deal with this building, not with the store. I didn't take an oath to the CCI.
So I hear that you're
took an oath
opposed
the
to,
town. So,
I hear
yeah.
you're opposed to something that says supporting organizations.
Yes, because they already have a link there. And I understand your point about redundancy as far as websites and links go. But I think because they're already established on that website, I feel uncomfortable.
Further
I feel it's
discussion?
inappropriate.
Further discussion, Kim?
I think in order to make it easier for everyone, I don't know why you can't put links to other pages within the town website. If you're in the, if you're in the library website and you want to know, well, geez, do I have to go, how do I search for who helps the library raise their money?
And that's where the Friends would come in if they were linked to the library website.
And we are a separate organization
Right.
as well. We're a nonprofit, we're not a town organization.
And you're not really
The
related with the
Selectmen didn't
library.
tell us who can be on our board. So we have our separate bylaws, we have our separate banking accounts.
You're a
And we-
nonprofit now too, correct?
We're a nonprofit.
Yes.
But what I'm trying to say is, we're no different from CCI, but we are, all of our activities, all of our mission is to support the library. And I'm gonna make a report about that during the public session.
Okay,
But we are a separate organization.
okay, thank you for that. Any other comments? Merilyn?
Yeah, I think, when I think of a library, I think of a place where you go for information. And we may very well be on the town website, and I was not aware of that, but I don't need to go to I'm well aware of CCI, so I haven't looked everywhere. But people come to the library for information. They come for education. It should be an educational, inclusive space, whether it's on the internet or here physically. This is simply a way to provide more information to people in the town who might be used to getting their information this way. Maybe they don't see it on the, I don't know where it is on the town website. Maybe they don't see it on the town website. But it seems to me that more inclusion is better than less. And for people who might not be up to speed on what we're doing or why we're doing it, they can come through, find that link, and go look at it. It's not going to detract. I don't understand the concern. It's not going to detract from the Stowell. It's just providing information, which is what people say they want.
Can I respectfully disagree with
Okay,
that?
just a second. May I recognize you, Karen?
Okay.
Would you like to speak?
Yes, I do disagree with that. I think there's a large portion of Cornish that does not think that the CCI is supportive of the Stowell. And the library website right now is the Stowell.
Okay, I guess I have to say it again. This is not to have the vote again about the Stowell versus the store. This is simply a link to allow people to get information. That's all this is.
And put it on the town
so let me
website,
recognize-
not the Stowell website.
May I recognize Alicia, please?
So I came to the trustee meeting last month and I had some questions about pledges and cash that CCI might have. The only access I have to what CCI does is through our voted-in library trustee, Laura Cousineau. She is a liaison to the CCI. I asked questions. I was not given answers. I was directed by the trustees, very friendly, to go to CCI and ask questions. I have been to their website a million times. I wrote emails to people on the board, every board member for CCI. I got no response. So I guess what I'm wondering is, why do I need to go to the website when there's really no information there?
All right.
Two, oh, wait a minute, I'm not done. And then the person who has been voted in by this town as a liaison and you work for the people of Cornish, does CCI give you the updates they want you to read, or are those your own words? Because we don't get enough information from our liaison to the CCI, to the trustees, and I'm wondering, do they give you reports to read, or do you write those yourself?
So if I heard some things in there that are not accurate. First, I am not the liaison to the CCI. I am a member of a subcommittee that is the building committee and the subcommittee for the interior exterior. I have that because I have been involved in constructing 3 different library spaces. All right, so that's why I'm on there.
Your
And
name's
I
been
can-
mentioned as being the liaison
And-
for the Stowell Library
and I only,
as a trustee to the CCI
I
several times.
do not attend CCI board meetings. I have no control over what the CCI does. I just give input according to my expertise at these meetings, which is highly appropriate for A, the trustees to have input, and 2, for someone who has experience constructing libraries to be involved in this process. There's nothing underhanded.
I'm not
about
saying there
any
is,
of
I'm
this
just
that
saying,
goes
I've
on.
come to meetings and
3,
I've
it's
asked for
also-
information and I don't get
Excuse
it.
me, I'm not finished. It's also not accurate, Alicia, that you received no response. In fact.
No, I did receive answers to my questions.
didn't.
I did not receive
You
answers to the
received
questions. I
answers to
received
the
answers that
questions
said
that you
in
asked,
November
And you were
that I
not
would give
satisfied
information.
by the answers, but it's not true that you did not receive answers.
I finally did receive an answer tonight from Merilyn, which was great. So back to my question,
So,
do
yes.
you write the updates yourself or you
I
speak for
request-
CCI and
I
they give you the update to read?
I request reports from the CCI because I am not on the CCI board. I would not be able to give that report. That would be secondhand. It's more accurate to say, I'd like to have a report from you for this meeting. And that's what I did. Merilyn?
So I just want to, Alicia, you attended, or you were there for a short period of time in May when we did the celebration on the green. And I'm pretty certain that at that point in time, the information that you were requesting was given out. It wasn't on paper form, but Colleen announced where we were with our capital campaign. Sometimes it's difficult or it's a little tricky. You don't know where the places are on the website to find the information that you want, so you need to dig around a little bit. But I'm pretty sure that if you go to the CCI website, all the information that you want, programs that are being run, anything that we're doing is on the CCI website. That's why I keep saying, I don't understand, it's just information.
I was thinking I'd like numbers,
Excuse me,
right?
excuse me,
Numbers, there's no numbers there except 1 million.
Hi, yes, what I will say, I feel like we've gotten a little bit off topic about the link specifically, and what I'll say about it is the difference between the Friends and the CCI is the Friends, when money is donated to the Friends, the money directly goes to the library, no matter where the library is, if it's in this building, if it's in the store. The CCI, everything that the CCI has goes to the store, which we're not in the store yet, and it is information, and I'm not going to deny that it isn't information that would be interesting to a lot of people of the town, but what I will say is we don't have a link to Wikipedia on the page either, which is information that the town might be interested in. And it's more about, I still think that it absolutely should be on the town website, but I don't think that specifically the library page is the page that it belongs on. And
Lucy, just as a point of information, you are not aware that the CCI was formed in order to be a nonprofit that could raise money for the library.
specifically.
But it's not affiliated
Yeah,
with.
can I also
the
add a
library.
clarification?
Yeah.
We do use the store for library events. The Friends of the Library uses the store for most of our meetings. I would say 80% of our meetings are in the store, not the library, because the library, the Stowell Library, does not have the capacity to have meetings.
And prior to that, Judith, they used to use the Grange, and on occasion, the
Are
Mason.
you talking about the Friends?
The library for their programming.
Oh,
In the
I
past, we
wasn't
have used
aware of
other,
that.
right up the road, there's a Grange, and there's a Mason Hall.
I've never
And they've been-
heard of that before.
Oh, I have.
Never
'Cause I went to
either
a
one.
wonderful magic.
All right,
show
so
at
I
the
think,
Grange.
so I'm gonna call the question on this issue. And we have a motion before the board. Would you, Secretary,
Where's your
reread
motion?
the motion?
Cornish Community.
Okay, the motion is that both the trustees' website and the website for the library add a rubric which is supporting organizations. And under that rubric, there are links to 2 organizations, 1, the Friends of the Library, and 2, the CCI. Okay, so,
Point of clarification, on the town website, there's a search bar. If you put in Cornish Community Initiative, you get nothing.
Look under groups.
okay, so
It should come up under search.
I've called the questions.
Try
This is a vote
CCI.
for these 3. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Nay.
opposed? Nay. Okay, the motion passes. All right, the next item on the
There's
agenda
groups, it's not in groups.
is a building
I'm
committee.
sorry, Laura. Where is the link to the CCI website
I'm
on
not
that?
sure, there's a link to Connect Cornish and they're kind of the same. I'm not sure.
Because I'm
there's-
pretty sure that's where I found the CCI through the town website.
Yeah,
it was
I mean,
something-
I know Connect Cornish is included
Mm-hmm.
and it's easy to confuse the 2.
So Marilyn, maybe you could clarify with the town how CCI wants to be found on the town website, but that's out of scope for this meeting. Okay, so we're moving on. I wanted to give you, you heard the report that I requested from CCI, I read that. I wanted to give you just a quick update on where we are. Right now, we're in the group in which I am involved, which is the interior exterior, and we're in the process of giving the information that the architects need so that they can then send out the bids or write up the more specific cost estimate. And we're looking at finishes at this point. So we're looking at rugs and tiles for the bathroom and color schemes and whether we want to paint the building, and just little details like that are what we want, the architect has requested. And we hope to have that in by the end of June so that Trundle Nelson can then, with all these specifics, write up more accurate cost estimate for us.
Can I just ask a question?
Mhm.
So the new cost estimate that was given at town meeting, that's not the final cost estimate? Because you're not done with the plans?
Well, they're doing it more specifically.
That tends to mean more specific,
It's like
tend to
phase
mean
2.
more money,
It's like
right?
phase 2.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
this is not taxpayers' dollars.
I'm not asking that question. I'm just saying the estimate that we were given at town meeting was not a final one.
With an estimate.
You're going to have another one.
Right, we have to, yeah, we have to have something with more detail on it. It was
Okay.
based on the plans that had to be refined, correct?
That was the one that compared the proposed renovation, 3-floor renovation for this building.
No. There was a revised one given at town meeting, just in 2024.
Yeah, and construction costs, all that's going out. Okay, so next item on the agenda is citizens' comments. Are there any comments? Judith?
Okay, so this is good news as compared to the other type of news. This is our current fiscal report for June 9th, 2024. Our total income so far for 2024.
And to be clear, you're making a report on behalf
Oh,
of the
yes,
library.
yes.
Yeah.
The reason I'm giving this report is not because we're the same organization, but because I want to tell both the trustees and the employees of the library what's available for their use.
Thank you.
So in this,
Judith, can you clarify for me what entity you're referring to?
okay,
Are you
so I'm
reporting
vice chair of the Cornish Friends of the Library.
on? Friends of the Library.
I'm also an employee of the library, and that's it.
But it's Friends of the Library that you're talking about?
It's Friends of the
Okay,
Library,
I wasn't clear
yeah.
on that, thank you.
And I'm only giving this report so that Lucy knows what's available to her. And we're having a meeting next week, and if you want, you can come to our meeting and request some funds for programming or paying for an author to give, to have an event, a local author maybe. I'm sorry I'm dry. I need a glass of water. So the sub amount is, since 2024, we've raised $1,899. Our current balance after our 2024 expenses is $4,944.10. So
4,000 what, Judith? I'm sorry.
as in $4,944.10
Thank you.
is our current balance. And that, our money comes from memberships, donations, and fundraising events such as our bake sales. And our next meeting is June 18th.
Yeah, it's on my calendar.
Okay. And it's at the library.
Here? Okay, great, thank you.
Lucy, do you need would you like to have a one-person contact? Who should Lucy contact if she wants any information or wants to get up with her friends? David or you or somebody else?
David's traveling a lot this summer, so you could contact David, you could contact me, you can contact Mary O'Connor, you can contact Carla Boysington.
I'm pretty sure I'm on the mailing list for the,
Yeah, I think
so
we
I can
put
also
you on
just
the
respond
mailing.
to the mailing
Yeah,
list.
yeah, she can throw it out to the mailing list as well, and she sees me on a regular basis too.
Okay.
But the way we dispense money is that usually the librarian comes to our meeting, makes a request, and we vote on it.
Okay.
But I don't think we've ever said no.
Thank you. Other requests? Alicia?
I just wanted to say that a couple weeks ago I called here looking for maybe some discarded children's books, and Lucy, our new librarian, got back to me immediately and had collected up a bunch of books that were no longer in use and had them for me within 5 minutes. I came down, I picked them up. I work in Claremont as a teacher for grade 1, and I have all readers this year, and all those books have gone home with my students, and I just wanted to publicly thank her in the Stowell Library for having kids go home with great books to read. Thank you so much.
I forgot to make an announcement
sure,
about
go
our
ahead.
book sale. So, our dear friend, who was a wonderful member of the Friends of the Library, passed, Sandy Gass, and she wants all her books to be sold, and the money will be donated. So, she has somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 books, and 50% of them are children's books. So the sale is going to be on July 13th from 9 to 4 o'clock. And that's a Saturday, and Sunday, July 14th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And they're priced by donation. Just whatever you want to give is what you give.
And the proceeds go to?
Friends of the Library.
Friends of the Library, but Sandy, in her will, and also in her obituary, wanted it to go to,
The library.
yeah.
The new library.
And the new library.
Thank you for
So
that
everybody
clarification.
needs the details. I have and the flyers also hanging up in the window. But
There's one there. Right here. We got them all over.
please come. We don't want to move these books. We want them to be sold. We don't have any storage place. We want them out the door.
When is the boxing? Because I'm happy to help box. I saw that.
Let me email you. I just got the date. Do you remember the date?
Saturday, yeah, I think it.
Let me let you all talk about that
Yeah.
offline,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you.
So, any other citizen comments this evening?
This is a citizen, well, I would like permission to have the trustees give a donation in Sandy's memory to the CCI, but it doesn't have to be huge.
Okay, why don't we take that?
Okay. Well,
That would be individuals, not as.
no, I was gonna
trustees.
write it on a George H. Stowell Library check.
How would that work? We would have to give.
Yeah. You just have to give permission and it would come under trustee expenses.
Did you say, did I hear that right? Did you say you want the Stowell to write a check to the CCI?
The trustees.
So you would.
Forget it.
You need a second.
Sorry. I'll do it myself.
Let's do it. I'd be glad to make a contribution with you as an individual instead, if that's okay, Kathy.
Yep.
It's so funny to watch you, and you in this room. Not you, Brian, I'm sorry. But it's so funny to watch the three of you. I'm comical about it.
I'm sorry, Ken, that was really inappropriate.
That was
I know, it's so
rude.
I'm just observing.
Did you try to be rude?
I can.
That was not.
Wow.
Let's
Please run your meeting.
let's go to the next thing, which is to decide when our next meeting is.
With everything that's going on, I think that it should be soon. Especially since we're planning to meet with the Board of Selectmen, which I think we should do sooner than later.
apologize. No.
Okay, so I am going to be out beginning on the 22nd of June. So as soon as next week, it has to be before the 22nd, and otherwise I'm not here till July 9th.
Okay.
Point of information, Heidi. What's the time limitation on these funds?
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm talking to Laura. I'm still getting over that comment because I've heard this Board of Trustees say you want to unite the town. That's going in the wrong direction. So what was your question, Laura? I didn't hear it.
The question was, the funding, the leftover COVID funding. We're trying to figure out.
So the
how
funds must be
soon we should
obligated
be-
by December 31st of this year. That does not mean they need to be spent. They have to be expended by 2026, but and obligated is more than, this is what we want to do with it. You know, we have to have a contract, a contract with a vendor to do whatever it is. Like we have a contract with the communications company doing the repeater.
Right.
So that money is obligated, so by the end of the year, but we need to know as soon as possible.
Okay, all right, that's what I was looking for, when we should do this.
Well, Select Board would be meeting tomorrow. Maybe we could try to meet with them on Monday before you go on vacation.
That would be Monday the 17th?
The 17th.
And that would give us time
That's
to warn the meeting?
6:30 to 8:30.
8:30, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, would this be something that you might want to do, like, very separately from their usual meeting? Because, people are in and out. So we might want to schedule something.
Okay. Well, do I have your all's permission to contact the chair of as chair of the trustees, contact the chair of the select board and see when we can set up this meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, shall I do that?
Kathy?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
I'm
Okay.
retired.
And then as a next standalone, do we want to make that to be announced, or do we want to have
Let's
that?
do to be announced.
Okay,
because-
TBA, because we
Yeah.
may have to have it after that before I leave, or we may have to wait till after I come back, so I'll see.
Okay.
This comes
So-
June,
All right, so,
July.
so I'll contact and let you all know. I'll copy you on the contact. All right, any other business before we adjourn?
I'm sorry, did you all set up a next trustees meeting?
To be announced.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
to be announced. We're gonna first set up the meeting with the select board.
Got it.
Because I think what might happen with something like that, and why I think it should be outside of their meeting hours, I think more people are gonna wanna come. And, you know what I mean? Would you guys agree that there might be more people attending if it's the
I think you should
select
have it
board
at
and
the
the...
store, because
I
there's.
think we should have it in
more
the upstairs.
Yeah, the
of
select board
town
is
office.
gonna want
They're not
to-
gonna
No,
sit
they
down.
do.
Oh, you're talking about.
Meetings with the board of
you're talking
selectmen about the well and
meeting with the
septic,
select
yeah.
board. I thought
Yeah.
you meant meeting just the trustees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they don't announce what's happening at those meetings, they just tell you when the meetings
And then-
are.
Yeah, in the minutes. I mean, they're public meetings, that's the other thing, like if anybody had gone Monday, we wouldn't know. But,
Yeah.
so I think that we should approach them with the idea of having it separate outside of their general office hours.
Okay, good.
Because I think more people are gonna show up and they have enough stuff to do on Monday and Thursday.
I'll see what I can
Yeah.
arrange. Thank you for that
Okay.
information, that's very helpful. All
Laura,
right.
before you close, I do have one question,
Sir?
which is the plan of action regarding my request. How will the results of that be disseminated, and I realize you don't have a time frame probably at this point because you haven't talked to them yet, but what would be your plan of action once you get whatever it is you seek from this charitable trust?
Good question. I would try to get the information as soon as possible, And we would not be able to act on that information until our next meeting, because we're not allowed to discuss things that impact the library unless it's an open meeting. So hopefully it would be at our next trustee meeting, apart from the one that we set up to discuss the specific issue with the select board. So it would be the trustee meeting following the joint meeting with the select board would be what I would anticipate. And we do not have a date selected for that meeting. That's the to be determined date. It may be prior to the 22nd, or it may be after July 9th.
So
I don't have a specific
but
date
either
for
way,
you.
you're talking July.
So we're talking no later than July, sometime in July. Thank you for your question. Any other questions, or Lucy?
I wanted to bring this up in the librarian's report, I guess, but I have some questions about the website, not our page on the town's website, but the library specific website. I know that we have a domain for it, but we do not have a page set up or any programming for it down. And that is something that I'd be interested in looking at, but I haven't gained access to the domain yet. So is that something that we can move towards?
Stephanie set that up, so if you want.
Okay.
They just got the domain name, paid for the domain name, so, and then nothing was ever done after that.
Right.
So you would just be like
Website.
setting up the website for the Stowell?
That'd be great that you want to work on that. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Because what I've noticed too, and I think I brought it up one of the last meetings with Stephanie, is there's this section where it says something like events on the town website, not, for the library, for the Stowell Library, not the trustees. And the only thing that's on there, it's just a list of holidays for when you're closed.
Yeah. So we can talk to you later about that. In fact, we probably want to talk more about all the communication methods, but we don't have to talk about that at a trustee meeting.
Okay.
All right, so gone. I declare this meeting adjourned at 7:20 p.m. Thank you all for coming. Yay!
So are you